So let's start with this. It is Bills-Ravens, which has a chance to be the best football game of the last 5-6 months. But it's also a game about Josh Allen and about Lamar Jackson. And it really is, and it may be unfair, but it's a quarterback-dominated league. And so I think the game means more to Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen's actually been very good in the postseason. In fact, his passer rating in the playoffs is one of the best ever. He just lost to Joe Burrow once and Mahomes 3 times. But Lamar Jackson often feels like a different player in the playoffs. It's like Derek Jeter in baseball. You got the same Jeter, regular season or the World Series. That's Josh Allen. Lamar, you look at the numbers, you don't. He's closer to Barry Bonds. The great Barry Bonds' first 28 playoff games, he had 1 home run. Where did the power go? Lamar looks tight, he looks anxious, he admits it, and you're left scratching your head. And that's why I believe this game means a lot more for Lamar Jackson. If he plays well and loses, that's okay, because we all get how good Josh Allen is, and we all get how good Buffalo is. I mean, if he loses in overtime and puts up 300 total yards, we're fine. But if Lamar delivers another clunker, and he's had a few as a playoff quarterback, not all, but if he delivers a clunker, it's going to start to define him. And how he plays matters. Peyton Manning, for the longest time, was known as the second best Manning in the playoffs. It was Eli, quirky Eli, that was cool under pressure, could win on the road. Weather didn't matter. And it wasn't until Brady, if you go back to, I was looking this morning, Manning was 3-6. He started the playoffs 3-6. That was his playoff record. And he was 0-2 against Brady, and he was awful in the games against Brady. It was Eli that was cool under pressure. So that Denver stay for Peyton Manning really, really helped his legacy. And now we consider him, Peyton Manning was great all the time. Like Lamar, he'd had some decent early playoff games. But until he won that first Super Bowl, we were looking around going, I don't know. He gets a little tight. He's a teeth clencher. And that's how we feel about Lamar. What Lamar doesn't want to be, and I don't think he is at all, but you don't want to be James Harden, where everybody kind of rolls their eyes. You're great in the games that don't count, but you shrink in the big ones. So I think the pressure is absolutely on Lamar Jackson. Now, here is the good news. You have to dig a little bit deeper on Lamar Jackson, and this is why a lot of the odds makers think Baltimore should be the favorite, is Lamar's first 4 playoff games, it was like early Peyton Manning. He wasn't very good, passer rating at 68. But he has gotten better in his last 3 playoff games. And it should also be noted, whereas Joe Burrow, some would argue, is equally talented, his franchise had to sell off naming rights for the stadium for them to be able to afford Joe Burrow's contract. You can't take the Bengals seriously because of upstairs. The Ravens are well run. The Bills are well run. So both franchises have gotten these remarkable, all-time unique talents, really, really good players. Now, I think Buffalo's got more good players than Baltimore, so I like the Bills at home this week. But what's really great about this game, it's not just great quarterbacks. It's great organizations, much like Mahomes in Kansas City, and I think we have a chance to see the best football game in the last 6 months. So I want to talk now about the Philadelphia Eagles, who I think will beat and host the Rams. So I just tried. They're a jigsaw puzzle to me. I know the Eagles are well run, but it is fascinating. I saw another story this morning, and it said Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni's relationship is finally in a better place as they get ready for the playoff run here. And I thought to myself, I'd hope so. They won 12 of the last 13 games. They're 48-14 all time together. How can they not get along? It would be like one of those Hollywood divorces. You're like, the people are both beautiful. Their kids are beautiful. They're rich. They're pampered. They live in Beverly Hills. Can't you guys get along? A lot of couples with much less are doing much better. And what's interesting about it is, you know, the story's not coming from Jalen Hurts, all these stories about their relationship, right? Because Jalen Hurts went to the Nick Saban school in Alabama of never say anything. And he's also a very mature, adult, quiet, reserved kid. So the leaks must be coming from Sirianni. I don't think they are. Why? Because Nick Sirianni looks bad in this. How the hell can you not get along with him? Everybody likes Jalen Hurts. Where are the stories coming from? So I think it's fascinating. And that's the first part, who's leaking it. The second part is that I keep thinking about this is if you're struggling to get along now, and you're winning 5 of 6 games here together, what happens when you start losing? I mean, this is what's interesting. Last year, remember down the stretch they were awful? If you take that stretch last year when they were awful, lost 6 or 7 games, they're 48-14 together if you count the playoffs. That's that 48-14 record. I'm taking out that bad stretch. So it's almost all been rainbows, harmony, pots of gold. But maybe it was that little stumble last year, that little stumble at the end, that 6 of 7, take that out, they're 48-14, that caused all this, that they're really not built for each other. Or maybe it's this. And I was thinking about that. Every time I see a story on this, I think about this. There are families, and I've known people like this, they're always arguing, and yet they last forever, and they're incredibly close. You see this all the time. Sirianni is young, and he's emotional. And isn't Philadelphia one of our more emotional cities? Sirianni is combative. So is Philadelphia. Nick Sirianni always looks tired and ornery. Philadelphia is kind of tired and ornery. Doug Peterson was too chill for Philadelphia. Chip Kelly, you could argue, was too emotionally remote for Philadelphia. And there's an argument that Nick Sirianni is perhaps perfect. Combative, feisty, looks tired, and Big Dom has his arms around all of it. We have all known a family like this. There's a comedian out there, Sebastian Maniscalco. He jokes about his family. He's like, we fought, we argued, Dad couldn't give you a compliment. At some point, I wouldn't let him come to my shows. And the guy's one of the biggest rock stars in comedy in the United States today. And I thought about that comedian because I went to see him in Chicago about 6-7 weeks ago, and he was hysterical, and a lot of it's about his family. And I'm like, this sounds like a brutal childhood. Yet they're incredibly close. And I'm like, maybe this is Sirianni, the Philly fans, Big Dom, Jalen Hurts, the loud sports talk radio. It's the family that screams and yells and argues even at Thanksgiving, even on vacation, and that they love each other. It wouldn't work for me, but it works for them.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.